Well, hey, it turns out we're here again today. Now, let's see. It's been 25 years of abuse at the hands of CBN. For all of you folks that don't realize this could be you. This is America. You want to be marginalized? You want to think I deserve this somehow? I don't know. U.S. Marine, meritorious pulling out of boot camp, honorably discharged, almost 2 doctorate degrees, seven universities, surviving addiction, married, 4 houses, 5, doing the best I can while they abuse me for 25 years. Let's break this down. Can you imagine a ministry getting their hands on somebody by going into your home and hearing you say something that made you decide to quit your job as a regional clinical director of 2 states because you were uncomfortable with it, and they decided to use that to abuse you and abuse you and abuse you and grow ministries for 25 years. Let me tell you how the scheme worked. When I was in Idaho, I was using about once every 20 days, and I felt awful about what I was. I just wasn't comfortable with it, and I left a job, left my house, and went to treatment for months because I could not come to terms with trying to be a healer while using and having thoughts that I wasn't comfortable with. So Christian Broadcast Network comes into my home and demonizes me for that for years. But that worked pretty well. The more shame they could put on me, the better off they were. So what they started to do was, and this has only come to light recently, I have been so vulnerable if I use a chemical, methamphetamine, that would make me vulnerable enough to them that they could start to manipulate through threats and auditory abuse, threats of dismemberment, death, blinding, any of a number of things, so that it would turn into fear, and then hopefully pray to God, and then they would lessen it as my prayers became more fervent. But then let's get it really interesting. Was 8 years ago, I went to Advent Hospital, and this minister decides to implant technology in my brain where they can actually see what I'm thinking. What a joy. So what did they do with this? They can see my actual thoughts. This is so diabolical. It is an abomination. What did they do? They started putting people in my home that would abuse me, beat me, hurt me, make sure I had drugs available, offer absolutely nothing, keep me as stuck as they possibly could. Because if I used a drug, then they had the possibility, because I was vulnerable and they knew they could take advantage of a vulnerable adult, and it would show the thought patterns in my brain where these Joel Osteen, Joyce Myers, Stephen Fitch, and God knows who else could then say, oh my God, he's thinking of something sexual. He's a demon. Now, the sins of the flesh became a death sentence. And because of that, they had to keep me stuck, isolated and alone. God told me in the strongest way you could ever imagine in my anointing that I was supposed to be married in Texas. They made sure, because I said something lurid, to destroy that, and then have a sermon on how I'd be tired of this virtuoso, like they're so smart. And then wait upon the Lord, as Joyce Myers actually says, she's the Lord. Why did they do this? Well, if that happened, they would lose their lunch ticket as they build their monuments to themselves. These scheming people have duped everybody. Here's how they do it. Keep me miserable, keep me alone, bring drugs in, because I'm so miserable or angry that I result to that. I can't see my daughter, I can't see anybody, and then use the brain technology where they can see my thoughts and go, oh, let's go to work, watch and pray. And as I pray, they reduce the auditory threats of death, dismemberment, blinding, and God knows what other horrific action, so that my thought patterns will change So I try to clear these thoughts, and then they can say, look, Jesus answers his prayers in real time. These diabolical people have had no regard for anything but filling their coffers, and think that using death, threats on my life, invasion of privacy, raping, tormenting, torturing, crimes against humanity somehow is justified because I might have a thought of carnality because I'm so alone and miserable for 12 years. You have fallen for a demonic approach, America. Get rid of these people.